The Albanese government is willing to buy embattled Rex Airlines. Labor says it is open to an acquisition of the airline in the event a private bidder does not emerge by the middle of this year. For more on this, I'm joined by Deputy Opposition Leader Sussan Ley. Good morning to you, Susan. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Morning, Kenny.
First of all, just to our breaking news this morning, Sam Kerr has been found not guilty in her racial harassment trial in the UK. Do you think she should stay on as Matilda's captain?
That's a matter for the Matildas, Kenny, but I'm looking forward to a time when we can talk about the Matildas winning matches and not about winning or losing court cases. Sam has been an inspiration to many women and girls, to men as well, to people who play the amazing sport of football. I know she would be reflecting on this from the statement that she put out earlier this morning. I'm pleased it's all behind her.
What do you think about this proposition that the government may buy Rex Airlines by the middle of the year? Should taxpayers buy and own a potential, the failed airline to keep these regional routes in operation?
Governments shouldn't own airlines, Kenny, because that does mean that taxpayers own them and taxpayers pay for them. That's $130 million so far that they have put into Rex. The most important thing for a government with airline policy is to get the policy and regulatory settings right so that you do have a sustainable and competitive aviation sector. Doesn't feel to me like the government has got this right at all, with 2 regional airlines going bust on their watch. And we will always put regional communities first, and we know that we have to have secure, affordable transport for those who live a long way from the capital city. So the Coalition always will put that front and centre. But this has just been another failure of management, including airline management by the Albanese government. I should also say, Kenny, that whenever it's tough times for an airline, you always think of the pilots, you think of the crew, you think of the people that work incredibly hard to get people where they need to go through our amazing open skies in Australia. And my thoughts are always with those individuals when news like this hits.
OK, so if we can't find a buyer, what's the option? We just let it collapse?
Well, the government has to work to get this right, and there are 43 regional airlines in Australia, I think. Now, you can't crowd out the competition by having a government-owned airline sort of come in over the top of those. You have to do this properly, you have to work hard, and I expect the government to do that.
Jim Chalmers has instructed financial regulators to soften home lending rules for millions of Australians with help university debts, and developers also who cannot guarantee 100% pre-sold apartments. What do you think of this? And my question to you is, do you think that this risks weakening the banks?
Well, banking policy and the Treasurer I'll put to one side for a moment, Kenny. The point here is, has it taken Jim Chalmers 3 years to work out it's really hard to buy a home if you're a young person? It's a real struggle to be a young person with a HECS debt and a cost of living crisis. And we do have to make the environment that everyone lives in much more affordable and get the economy back on track. Meanwhile, with a policy like this, ho-hum, but 1 million migrants have come into this country without a plan to house them. This doesn't actually do anything for housing supply. In my own area of skills and training, we've got fewer apprenticeship starts. We've had 27,000 insolvencies in small and medium businesses, and the biggest proportion of those insolvencies has been in the construction sector. So it has been a massive fail from the Albanese government when it comes to getting the policy settings right to build houses and actually have the people on the tools to build the houses.
News around the tariffs just continues to change hour by hour. Donald Trump accusing Australia of breaking a verbal promise to limit aluminium exports to the US. Malcolm Turnbull, former Prime Minister, says that didn't happen. Now we've got a senior trade advisor to Trump saying that Australia is killing the US aluminium industry. What's your response?
Well, whatever happened before happened. What matters is what we do now, and what matters more than anything for us is that the government does well. We want them to do well. We want Australia to succeed. But we also know that the quality of the relationships between senior officials, between prime ministers, between ambassadors is vital at a time like this. So, as I said, we're backing the government to do this and do it well on behalf of our industries, because no one supports these tariffs in Australia. But I do reflect that when the carve-out was made in 2018. We had great relationships with Ambassador Joe Hockey, and we had a good relationship between our Prime Minister and the American President.
Okay, Sussan Ley, thank you for coming on the program. We'll talk to you again soon.